Hey, World Warriors, I'm Brian CrowMn for a CrowMn review, and let's just friggin' get right into it. The Street Fighter cartoon. I have very vague memories of this 90s relic, where, I know I've seen an episode or two of it, but, internet culture and memes are how I'm more familiar with this series as a whole. Compilation clips of weird and out-of-context moments, gifs of bad animation, fan dubs, and yes, the Bison... Yes! Yes! Which I used occasionally in the early days of the channel. But it all left me wondering, is there more to the Street Fighter cartoon than just the memes? Can you really sum up the entire run of the series with just a 10-minute compilation video of silly bullshit? I mean, this cartoon is partially brought to us by the same people that gave us the friggin' X-Men cartoon. The good one with the theme. So surely the Street Fighter cartoon can't be that bad, can it? Can it? I don't know. We're about to find out. So oh, come on! Really? We're not even 2 seconds into the friggin' episode. Right from frame friggin' 1, look, the steam is just clipping right through the friggin' coffee cup. Oh, look at that! Fuck's sake! This was a mistake, wasn't it? This is big Wipeout. Just, what am I even doing? Friggin' Christ, what am I doing? Yeah, hey, it's me. I'm only 2 seconds in the friggin' video and it's already falling. Everything's just starting to fall apart. I'm starting to regret every decision that I've ever made in my entire life, and everything that has ever led me to the Street Fighter cartoon. No, I'm on the first friggin' episode. Hang on, I think I'm still filming. So the introduction to the Street Fighter cartoon is pretty much what you'd expect for a 90s cartoon. It's got a pretty kick-ass mix of the Street Fighter theme, and visually it contains more action than you will probably ever see in any actual episode of the cartoon. It also provides a voiceover exposition dump that introduces our main cast of characters and the central conflict. Guile leads an undercover unit of virtuous martial artists from all over the world, codenamed Street Fighter, to combat Bison's international crime organization Shadaloo. Guile's main go-to partners include Chun-Li, Blanka, Ken, and Ryu. They're the 5 World Warriors you'll be seeing in a majority of these episodes. As for the first episode of this cartoon, though, it's basically just an extension of the introduction. It really only exists to introduce us to our main characters and their motivations. Again, Guile leads this task force undercover as a disgraced former Air Force colonel slumming around the martial arts scene competing in, Toriyamwa? Toriyamoj? I don't know. I tried feeding it into Google Translate and it didn't know what the hell it was. I mean, obviously I'm assuming it's supposed to mean tournament, but in what language? You can fuck right off, that's what language it is. Either way, though, sometimes it kind of feels like Guile forgets what his cover is supposed to be.
Pincer grip! Why'd you have to go and do that?
You're in a fight, Guile. That's why he did it. He's trying to fight you and advance further into... This is your cover, Guile. Do I really have to explain how a tournament works? Anyways, there's also Chun-Li.
The man who killed my father. Father's spirit will never rest until Bison pays for his crimes.
Blanka.
After Bison turned me into this thing, I came here so no one would ever have to look at me again. I can't be with people. I get angry.
Then who?
Is basically the Hulk, I guess? And then Ken and Ryu.
Ryu?
Right, sorry. Ryu. Who are basically like the comedy sidekick duo, and...
I know what you're thinking.
CrowMn. Sounds like there's a lot taken from the Street Fighter movie. Well, that's because there's a lot taken from the Street Fighter movie. From Guile being the main character, to Chun-Li being far more motivated by vengeance than justice, to Ken and Ryu hijinks, to Blanca's origin story, to Bison being a literal cartoon character.
Of course!
And believe me, we're gonna go over many more connections between these two as this series unfolds. As for this episode, though, like I said, this episode's mostly just an extension of the introduction, merely here to introduce our characters and some minor details of their backstory. Sure, there's something about a viral outbreak in South America, Bison kidnapping some medics, Incan mystics, Guile's ex-girlfriend Cindy, Guile spontaneously combusting.
Bison!
Everything's okay, though. Turns out Blanca had the cure in his blood the whole time because Shadaloo science or whatever. Guile and Cindy share an emotional goodbye, even though it feels pretty friggin' obvious she's going to be a reoccurring character in the series. Something about Guile owing Blanca $30 from 10 years ago. Credits roll and we're through with The Adventure Begins. It's hard to judge this episode on its own because it's such an exposition dump. I mean, we barely even got to really touch on M. Bison and Shadaloo because, frankly, the episode barely did either. Bison's just there to initiate conflict and give our protagonist something to fight. I mean, the first episode of the Street Fighter cartoon is about a viral outbreak. And I know as much as he'd love to, Guile can't just sonic boom a virus away.
Sonic Boom!
But yeah, no, seriously, the Street Fighter cartoon looks cheap. And somehow older than it actually is. I get that they were clearly going for like a G.I. Joe type aesthetic and tone, but even the G.I. Joe cartoons from a decade prior looked better than this. The fact that they had an opportunity to make up for the mistakes the movie made and attempt to make a more faithful adaptation, but instead doubled down on the bullshit of the Street Fighter movie, I can't. I can't believe I'm friggin' doing this. Next time on Street Fighter. Bison kidnaps a nuclear power plant and rigs it to blow, threatening Chun-Li's village. Her response?
Good riddance.
Chun-Li.
I won't go back there.
She is the strongest woman in the world.
We await your return, warrior.